According to Feeding America, 1 in 8 households in America faces food insecurity. I'm a believer in a healthy lifestyle and have seen the misconception about GMOs. With the way our world's technology and engineering is always rapidly growing, why wouldn't we use this to our advantage? Today I'll address some of the reasons that people think that GMOs are harmful and follow up by refuting these with the ways that they're actually beneficial. To start things off, I'd like to talk about one of the most controversial parts about GMOs. If you ask most Americans why they're against GMOs, you'll hear something along the lines of thinking that they're toxic or they're bad for your body. That's why so many people crave the little label down at the bottom of the box when they're grocery shopping. People don't really understand what GMOs are all about, though, and it's crucial that they do. The first way that I'll tell you about how they're helpful is through how they feed the hungry. In poor countries, food and farming is scarce and far in between. This presents another issue, which is malnutrition. With biofortification, scientists have been able to put more vitamins into the crops, such as beta-carotene, which is the precursor for vitamin A, which we all know is very important in your immune system and your vision. The article Unfairly Demonized GMOs Crops Can Help Fight Malnutrition says that the deficiency of these vitamins causes up to 500,000 cases of irreversible blindness every year, as well as 2 million deaths, mostly in kids under 5 years old. That being said, this is highly preventable. Golden rice has been engineered to contain this vitamin, and just 150 grams of it provides the recommended amount for kids. Based off these statistics, we can see just one of the many benefits that GMOs has, and along with it being so available, it's important for us to take advantage of them. There are currently 800 million people living in hunger, and since the population is expected to rise to 9.6 billion by the year 2050, if we don't take care of this issue now, it's going to be significantly harder to take care of in the future. I personally never had to face hunger, but I can't imagine the struggle that comes along with it, and GMOs allow us to feed the millions of people and to help prevent millions of diseases that come along with that. Moving on, I'd like to talk about the benefits to our planet. A lot of people think of GMOs and associate the word harm with it, but they don't think about the environmental benefits of it. In fact, they're pretty overwhelming. Pollution is a very prevalent topic right now and will only worsen if we don't make changes toward it. I'll explain to you the surprising yet clear ways that GMOs help the environment. Engineering crops can help reduce greenhouse gases because we have herbicide-resistant crops, which have had strong effects on the environment. The article Possibility in a Seed states that modified crops with herbicide-resistant traits allow farmers to manage weeds without having to rely on tilling, which results in fewer tractor emissions. Tractors are used worldwide and by many farmers, and it is an option when they're working, so if we can decrease this, then this is really great. With soybeans and corn not requiring herbicides anymore, in 2015 alone, this led to the removal of 12 million cars from the road. Obviously, this is a massive change, so if the rest of the world can follow this trend, then the rates of pollution can go down drastically. Looking back at what I said about pollution, limiting the amount of greenhouse gases when farming can only help us in taking a step in the right direction. This is a win for both of our surroundings and us within it. This means that we're taking in less harmful substances and is another way of helping improve our overall health. Air pollution is responsible for 6.4 million deaths per year, taking into consideration cardiovascular disease, asthma, and other respiratory diseases. The first thing this makes me think of is my little brother. When he was a young kid, he really struggled with asthma and eczema really bad, so I can only hope that the reduction of these greenhouse gases by less tractor use can help make it so that other kids don't have to grow up the way that my brother did. Lastly, I'd like to talk about how GMOs can help the economy. Everyone focuses on the negatives of GMOs, but very few think about the effects that go beyond the plate. Earlier we discussed feeding the impoverished countries, and now we can feed their economies as well. This is like the domino effect, meaning the stronger the economy, the more jobs and the more money coming in, increased food availability, and therefore decreased hunger. In this next point, I'll tell you about some of the things that the U.S. is doing to help those smaller countries. Stated by Biotechnology Innovation Organization, in 2010, 55% of farm income gains went to farmers in developing countries. To top that off, 90% of these countries were the ones that were very resource poor and working on small farms. This is just a really good example of how we can impact the lives of those who need it the most, especially taking into consideration how much more poor these countries would be if they didn't have the help of GMOs in their economy. With the way countries are investing in each other and I'm very interested to see what the future holds for GMOs. The perks of using them are very vast, and there are so many of them, and I can only imagine the ways that they'll make the world a better place. In conclusion, it's clear to see why we should not only adopt these GMOs, but encourage the use of them. Throughout this speech, I've discussed several points, such as the way they help those in poor countries, and the environmental and economic gains as well. As I conclude this speech, I encourage you to promote the use of GMOs, to continue to educate yourself, and think beyond what others say. With the help of our neighbors, near and far, I can only imagine the ways that we can feed the world.